Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore. Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint.
My bad. Yes, it is the BluePrint Power Hour today, but that kind of got away from me a little bit. Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. There will be no politics discussed on today's show. I got some real heat over at YouTube from people who say, we love your show, but we hate when you go political. So if I go political, I want Rob Regish to like hit the buzzer. Anyway. We want to thank our title sponsor, Legendary Foods, for making the show possible. And if you go to the website, eatlegendary.com, and use the code SHR, you'll get 10% off your entire order. Fantastic nut butters, seasoned almonds, their tasty pastry. Who thought that adults still loved Pop-Tarts? Well, I guess when you fall in love with them when you're a kid, that love affair doesn't end just because you get older, because they can't keep these things in stock because they taste so good. And it's basically a Pop-Tart with 1 gram of sugar or less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of high-quality protein. And when you're all about your macros, things like that matter. So, again, go to eatlegendary.com, use the code SHR, get 10% off your entire order. Let them know that you love their products and that you heard about them here on Superhuman Radio. Now I will play Rob's music.
Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm in the middle of what looks, or just starting rather, a week off. All the signs were there, so thought I'd take my own advice and listen to that little voice inside, you know.
What were the signs, Rob?
Little niggling, not injuries per se, but like the other day, my knee, I felt pressure in it. My shoulders didn't feel fully recovered from my last shoulder workout. Sleep wasn't as good as it normally is. So when you see those things happening, it pays off to pull back and rest. I mean, your body is asking you to rest, so why not do it? And when I start back, I'm going to start West Side again, and it's been years since I've done a West Side template, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, this is a nice opportunity to switch things up, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, listen, you know, what I was doing was working just fine. If West Side proves to be too much, it'll probably be at most a 3 or 4 week mistake. But you know, I'm betting if I pick the correct max effort exercises, it'll be all good.
And you know, you could do a modified West Side, right?
Yeah, I don't think I could do the 4-day a week template, not at this point in my life anyway. But you know, like you said, I've seen 3 and even 2-day a week templates. So you know, it's all,
and they work, and they work.
So that's the bottom line, right?
Oh, sorry.
You eat those Pop-Tarts?
Forgot to. No. Oh, I love those Pop-Tarts. They're amazing. So we have a special going on over at CoachRobRegish.com. Talk about it.
Yeah, I just want to remind folks, it's still going on, not too much longer, but I have made the BluePrint Bulletin accessible to just about everyone because it occurred to me that, right, for a lot of people, seeing is believing. So I did the following 2 things. Number 1, I lowered the price to $4.99 a month, not just for 1 month, not even 2 months, but for 3 full months. And during that time, in fact, immediately after you sign up, everyone will have access to the entire library, which at this point numbers almost 100 issues and certainly going to be well in excess of that soon. So if you would, before you forget, go to CoachRobRegish.com, use the coupon code SHR, and take advantage of by far what is our best offer ever.
I didn't have the code up on the graphics. I'm sorry about that, but those who are watching heard it, I would imagine. All right, so we go right to our. We're going to go right to our first question. We're already getting questions from viewers. We will get to every question, I promise you. The first question comes from Tim Terrell. Is there anything that can burn fat fast that isn't a stimulant? I can't take them, but still want to lose fat faster than I currently am.
Yeah, well, the short answer to your question, of course, is yes. But first, I really need to take this opportunity to address some fundamentals, because if even one of these fundamentals is not in line, then whatever I recommend, including the strongest fat burner that I can name, isn't going to do jack. So first fundamental is, are you on a diet that either modulates calories, carbs, and macros, or some other variable that keeps blood sugar low and or steady? And the reason I say that is you can find evidence that many different types of diets cause weight loss or fat loss. The common denominator seems to be keeping blood sugar low and or steady. And so without that, even the most powerful fat burners I can recommend to folks aren't going to work. Second, what is your definition of fast? You say you want to lose fat fast. My definition of fast is a pound a week, but I'm talking about real fat loss. And when it comes to real fat loss, that's about as fast as you can lose body fat, most people anyway, without sacrificing muscle. Some very obese people can lose a lot more weight early. But they're the exception rather than the rule. You can also lose a ton of water, more than a pound a day, when some folks go on these diets. I've even seen people go on the HCG diet, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. They're eating 500 calories a day, and yeah, they'll lose weight, but most of it is water and muscle. And then third and finally, understand and use the two most effective forms of exercise to burn fat the fastest, those being high intensity interval training, some sort of interval work, and even better, lactic acid tolerance resistance training. And then finally, of course, sleep. We shouldn't just pass over it unless you're getting a quality 7 or 9 hours a night. You are compromising fat loss. Get 5 or less, and you can forget about
when you get 5 or less, everybody knows if you get 5 or less hours of sleep, you crave carbohydrates all day long because your blood sugar is on a roller coaster the day after.
Yeah, and in fact, I've seen people's weight go up for that simple reason, and personally, I think it's due to inflammation. But having said that, if you've met all of those requirements, then now we can talk supplements. First on the list, of course, are stimulants. They're great fat burners. Why? Because they increase fat burning via so many different mechanisms. They increase energy. They decrease appetite. They increase catecholamine levels. They facilitate carnitine transfer. And in general, overall, elevate your metabolism. If you get the right stimulant, you can even boost your HDL, right? Good cholesterol levels. On the downside, and you should know about the downside because, right, we're weighing pros and cons, they can increase blood pressure, especially in people that are new to them. They can trigger anxiety or panic attacks. I've seen that, and I've experienced that. And also, I think, personally, they increase oxidation, right? The rusting, so to speak, on the inside of your body. So you may be susceptible.
And there's something else that they tend to do, especially the pharmacological forms of these fat burning or stimulants, and that is they cause a buildup of uric acid, and they cause a sequestration of certain components that you're supposed to get out of your body by blocking them in the kidneys. And so, in fact, there is some evidence that they can even make you more prone to rhabdo.
Yes.
because of the blockade of myoglobin getting out of the kidneys builds up, and that's what triggers rhabdo. So there's a whole blood chemistry side to them as well.
Right. And so when I go over these with people, the truth is most people just give those side effects lip service for the simple reason that they are so desperate to lose weight. It's not that they're unaware, right, of the downsides. They just don't care. That's the truth. Now, the facts stimulants decrease appetite is probably one of, if not their most relevant function in causing fat loss, so to speak. But it begs the question, what else does that, right? Is there anything that can do some of these same things that stimulants do without the downsides or the stimulant effect? And the answer is yes. And it's as close as your local supermarket. It's fiber, right? Mm-hmm. A fiber supplement, like let's say Metamucil, it doesn't sound sexy, but I'm telling you now, it's the missing link for many people, particularly those on low carb diets who don't get enough. And that's exacerbated, by the way, if you practice intermittent fasting, because you're only eating right once or twice a day. You really need to pack the food-based fiber away if you're going to have a prayer of hitting what you should. So I would recommend to you, get a hold of something. If you can't get it from food, and it's tough, something like Metamucil, and use.
There's also capsules of glucomannan.
Yep.
So glucomannan will absorb up to 100 times its own weight in water. And Dr. Cassandra Forsythe, she got married a couple times, but her maiden name is Forsythe, wrote an article when she was at the University of Connecticut that ended up becoming an entire book published by Good Housekeeping. And if you take, each capsule has like maybe, I don't know, 500 grams of 500 milligrams of glucomannan. Yep. If you take like 4 of those capsules 20 minutes before a meal, you can't eat as much. And the food, it slows gastric emptying, so you stay full longer. And all the women in the study did was take those capsules 15 to 20 minutes before a meal, and they all shed like 10 pounds in 2 months without changing anything else.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. I've seen that compound in fat loss formulas. Fenugreek does some of those things as well, but
fenugreek can have beneficial effects on blood sugar, right?
Yes, very much so. It contains 4-hydroxyisoleucine, which they think is responsible for its benefits.
Right.
So, a lot of these things then are familiar, should sound familiar. They're what stimulants do, just without the sides. If you do need a supplement, I use and recommend just Walmart's version of Equate Daily Fiber. It comes in an orange flavor. I don't know if there are others, but to me, it tastes great because I'm using pretty bad tasting herbs and aminos most of the time. But this stuff is great. It promotes heart health. It improves digestion. And you get a whopping 2 pounds of it for less than $15. So
that's a good deal.
Yeah.
It's a really good deal.
It's going to last you a long time.
The next question comes from Stu Sachs, and then after this question, we're going to get to questions that are coming up from the live viewers and listeners. Have you ever taken anything that really scared you? I'm using a fat burner right now that's really strong and wondering whether I should stick it out or discontinue. There's a missing sentence here. He says, "Do some things just not agree with some people?" Which tells me that this stuff doesn't make him feel good, which to me would be an absolute, I'm done with that. I'll try something different. What about you?
Well, I need to be kind of careful in answering this because, yes, there's a wide variation in how people react to many supplements, drugs, or for that matter, food. So let me just give you one quick pertinent example. I can eat truckloads of mixed nuts, okay? I have a friend who I watched have an allergic reaction, watched his airways close up. And it was one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. So, bear in mind, that's a simple food, right? It's not a supplement or even a drug, and those are in some ways a lot more problematic. So as for my history with things, absolutely, yes, I had some very scary experiences. Caffeine and ephedrine, first time out of the gate, was a real eye-opener. Right? First time I took it, it felt like my heart was beating out of my chest, and I didn't sleep a wink that night. I'll never forget that. And the dosage wasn't anything, obscene. It was maybe 100 milligrams of caffeine and one tablet, which at that time was 25 milligrams of ephedrine. So I was a stimulant newbie, and I vastly underestimated the power of both of those compounds, caffeine and ephedrine. Why? Well, I'll tell you this, in large part, it was because in the late 80s, when I came across this stuff, nothing on the market worked. I mean, literally nothing. We kind of lived by the motto at that time, triple the dose and hope for the most. And so the worst thing I can recall happening with those supplements up until ephedrine was, our urine turned bright orange or something, right? They threw a lot of B vitamins in it. You can't play that game today. If you do, I'm sad to say, you're risking some very serious consequences. Usnic acid, you remember that one?
Mm-hmm. Some people lost their liver.
Yeah, that was a very scary compound. You know why? It was a mitochondrial uncoupler, like DNP, just not as strong. It was let's say a cousin of it. I can vividly recall one January night when I had taken some that day, and I was laying buck naked in bed with the windows wide open in the middle of winter, and I'm up here in the Northeast, right? And I was still sweating bullets, So yeah, I've used some things that have really scared me. If you survive it, though, it teaches you an important lesson, right? Today, especially, you need to treat these supplements with respect because there are some very powerful ones. My guess is that this guy took too much of a pre-workout. And that experience happened to me again, not to me personally, but I almost had this kid in the gym this week, the gym I just reopened. He almost threw up on me, right? He looked green. And so I looked at him and I said, "What's wrong?" And he goes, it was tough to understand. I couldn't understand him. He was Asian. But I finally figured out he took too much of his pre-workout. And I think he said it was Hyde. And so something like Hyde has in a recommended serving 420 milligrams of caffeine and 3 milligrams of yohimbe. Now imagine some kid or an adult who should know better, who is reckless or just doesn't keep track and takes 2 scoops instead of 1. Yes, some very bad things can happen.
You'll end up in the ER. You'll end up in the ER. Some of these products, like even Aaron over at Redcon One is sensible. And on the label of Total War, it says start with a half a bottle and assess your own tolerance.
Half a scoop.
Start with the half. This is a ready to drink. Start. The powder.
All right.
The powder says start with a half a scoop. The bottle says start with a half a bottle and assess your own tolerance, because everyone is different. And some people can handle. Look, I can handle caffeine. Why? Because I have been abusing it for decades now. But in the beginning, I couldn't handle it. I remember being at Jeff Rui's gym after using my first pre-workout.
Yep.
And all I was there to do was cardio. And I was on the elliptical machine burning it up. And then all of a sudden, this wave of anxiety came over me. I don't know why. And then I was like, something's wrong. I don't know why I feel this way. And I remember getting off the elliptical machine, and there was a personal trainer there named Jay. And I was standing there talking to him. He goes, "Dude, you're all pale." He goes, "You okay?" And I said, yeah. I said, I used a pre-workout supplement. And he started laughing really hard. And he goes, oh, the caffeine hit you, huh? Like that. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself some important questions at this moment. It's, when I was a kid and I first moved to Queens, I learned to smoke cigarettes. I use that word. I learned to smoke cigarettes. Why? Because smoking cigarettes doesn't come naturally. Hacking and coughing and feeling like you're suffocating isn't a natural thing. But for some reason, you want to be able to overcome that to get to this point where you can smoke cigarettes. And you have to ask yourself, if something makes you feel like that, why are you fighting so hard to feel normal with that stuff in you? Because I'll tell you something else, and I'm telling you this from experience. Stimulants rob you of your strength. They don't give you greater strength. You will gas out faster. You will panic. You will miss your lifts. You'll do all that stuff when you're using stims. That's why you don't see powerlifters using stims. They use nose torque. They use these powerful ammonia-based products that you whiff them and they open your senses up. They open your brain up. They don't make your heart pump faster. They make your heart pump harder, and then they wear off.
Yeah,
that's
fast.
why they use them. Yeah.
That was going to be my advice. Be careful, especially with pre-workouts, and use just half of whatever it is they're recommending, at least until such time as you know how you react to it.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to wind up in the ER with caffeine poisoning.
And well, never mind, not even caffeine poisoning, but the embarrassment of someone saying, yeah, you took too much caffeine.
Right.
Here's an Ativan, go home. Now you're a douchebag because you took too much caffeine. You're really not. You went into the ER swearing you were having a heart attack. Your shortness of breath. Something's wrong, and then they go, "Yeah, you had too much caffeine. Here's an Ativan. Go home. Don't do that again." Like a little kid.
It's crazy.
No, sad. Let's go to some questions here from. Is there a there is a liposomal Retabol and curcumin recently available in Sweden. Is it worth looking into? What is Retabol?
Well, Retabol was really the first ecdysterone product sold in the United States by Rick Bruner, who was the CEO of a company called Atletica.
I remember him. Yeah.
His writings, especially in Powerlifting USA, were just tremendous works. And because he didn't just talk about his supplements, he talked about total tonnage and how many days to take it along with X total tonnage, and then take a 10-day break. And then here's when to go back to it. So the name Retabol still registers with some people in a good way. And because the first Retabol batches were really amazing stuff. And so however, I'll admit I wasn't aware of a liposomal Retabol being out there. Curcumin, I can see and understand that. I think we've heard about that. Retabol, assuming it is still assuming it's still an ecdysterone product, I struggle to understand why they went liposomal. It's very water soluble due to the multiple OH groups coming off of it. It doesn't have any problem, dissolving in a water environment. And if you think about it, what's your body? 70+% water, and muscle cells are a reflection of that. So I'll tell you this though, Marcus, if you would send me a link, you can do that. Probably easiest if you send it to regishrob@gmail.com. That's 1G in Regish. And I'll take a look at it for you and let you know.
So this is a funny one. I can't see your name. So if you're still watching live, could you please post who this is? Squat or die or fall or be old. That's funny.
You know what, though? I tell you what, when I read that, what I see personally is I say to myself, hey, boss, you're 50 years old. You can either expect to fail and be old and weak, or you can expect to be strong and hit new PRs when you go to the gym. And I would suggest to everybody listening that people live up or down to their expectations.
Look who it was.
Oh, Wade.
Wade Johnson. Ah, that's great. That's great. I've been watching him on Instagram. He's squatting a lot again too.
Yeah.
That's funny, but it's true. Weight loss wise, any personal success stories with Garcinia cambogia? And again, whoever this is, I'd love for you to post your name so we can give you credit for it. I have a strong opinion about this. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, that's been on the market for a while. I personally am not aware of success stories, if you will. I have not done a ton of research on it, but I know there was some initial excitement over the fact that, yes, people lost weight, but I don't know. I never saw it, especially on a big scale. And where the product is today, I'm not sure.
Okay, so here's the problem with Garcinia cambogia. And this is the problem with supplement marketing in and of itself. And I think I just figured out why some people's names aren't coming up, so I'm going to fix it while I'm talking because I can multitask. The Bushmen that made Garcinia cambogia famous because it was able to assuage their hunger. They could go for hours and hours and hours and hours and not just fast, but not be hungry at all. The way they used it was because it's a plant source, like chewing tobacco. They would take it and wad it up and they'd put it in their mouth and they'd chew it and it would seep into their saliva and they'd swallow it for all those hours that they were moving and they were warding off their hunger with it. So this is a very important aspect of this, okay?
Yep.
Delivery systems are very important when we look at drug delivery. And so what ended up happening with Garcinia was it's legit. It really works. But not if you take it in a pill and swallow it. Not if you put it in a patch and stick it on your arm. Not if you put it in a suppository and stick it up your ass. It only works if you use it like chewing tobacco and chew it and let it stay in your mouth so the juices slowly go down your throat and into your stomach. They upregulate a hormone called cholecystokinin, which has been shown to shut off hunger. But it doesn't, if you take the pill and it breaks down in your stomach and it moves down into your small intestine, it's too late. It doesn't do anything. So the genius would have been for someone to come out with a sugar-free Garcinia cambogia lollipop. I said this a decade ago. If they would have came out with a Garcinia cambogia lollipop with no sugar in it, it would have been a win for everybody. But now they want to make pills and powders and patches and other stuff. So that's why it failed.
I've got a great way to kill appetite while you're fasting, and it's free. Stay busy as hell, and especially physical busy if you can, because it's proven. I mean, the body puts hunger and digestion and everything else aside when there's a demanding physical task that you're performing. It's just that simple.
Right.
So.
And I still don't know who posted that question because it didn't come. I thought I fixed something and it didn't come through. Okay, let me see where we are. Hold on. Let me see where we are on the time. We're going to go ahead and take our break now. When we come back, we've got questions lining up here. We've got questions we're all ready to prepare to answer. We're going to take one quick commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the Blueprint Power Hour. There's no denying that a low-carb, low-sugar keto lifestyle has been shown to reverse chronic inflammation and normalize insulin sensitivity. But we all want a sweet snack from time to time. Well, no matter what you're looking for, you'll find it at Perfect Keto. Bars, cookies, exogenous ketones, keto-friendly performance enhancers, it's all in one place. I love their chocolate quad ketone salts that balance all 4 minerals. And try their keto bars for unique taste satisfaction, all the while knowing you're staying in your keto lifestyle lane. Go to perfectketo.com/superhuman to save 20% off your purchase today. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today.
Planet Earth CBD offers a fast-acting transdermal patch that targets your aches and pains for the relief you need. Not only is the patch uniquely patented, but it is widely believed to provide larger quantities of available cannabinoids to the source of pain than other brands' subpar products. Effective for 24 to 48 hours. Experience the benefits of Planet Earth's high-quality transdermal patch. Manufactured by Next Generation Technology in an FDA-registered facility. This pressure-sensitive adhesive delivers rich hemp extract directly through the skin. Be it a neck ache or a headache, you can count on CBD to take off the edge. Go to planetearthcbd.com today to learn more.
You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I've found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. So I'm over on Facebook on the other computer here, and so while that was Wade Johnson that said that, it was Jason Lalou that posted that was Wade, and the question about Garcinia Cambodia came from Aiden Ray. So I just thought to give credit to the people who are participating in the show today.
Yeah.
The next question comes from nope, that's not it. Next question comes from Richard Murdoch. He says, I'm really getting into intermittent fasting, but want to put on a lot of muscle. Can you do it with IF? And if so, how?
Well, I'll try to keep this shorter than I originally wanted to, but the short answer to your question is maybe, but it is not optimal, I think, for such a goal, right? To achieve that kind of goal, especially if you're an ectomorph like me with 9-inch ankles, and you were just not made to be, I guess, a big person. And putting muscle on, especially at a younger age, is very difficult. That is not to say that it doesn't have, it's useful. Let me put it that way. When people look at intermittent fasting and then compare it to frequent eating, right? Traditional, every 2 to 3 hours, you're eating protein and carbs, etc.
I'm on that train now, thanks to Bill Taco at Walmart.
Yeah. I think a lot of times we get caught up in it and look at it as an either or situation. And the reality is it doesn't need to be an either or situation. For example, we know eating 5 to 7 small meals a day will work to put on muscle mass, at least in the short term. If you know the history of that diet / recommendation, though, to eat that many small meals, it was never meant to be used for any more than 6 weeks at a time.
Really?
Never. It was in the Old Time Strongman book. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I can't recall the name of it, but it was originally published. That recommendation was published in like the 1930s, but they made a very, very clear distinction that it was only to be used for 6 weeks and no more than 2 to 3 times a year at most. Unfortunately, many people ran with that eating strategy, right, as an all day, everyday type thing. And the results, frankly, were predictable. There's people put on, including me, put on way too much body fat. And by the way, this was very convenient for supplement companies, especially when they started selling MREs, or meals ready to eat, like Metrex and so forth. If you're dictating to an audience, hey, you need to eat 6 to 7 small meals a day in order to put on muscle and lose fat, and by God, if you miss one of them, your muscle's going out the window, never to return. It's crap, but it fit that diet, right? And it made it very attractive for a lot of people. Eating frequently all the time also contributes to a phenomenon called anabolic resistance, which I'll go into a little bit more in a bit. But we know, okay, what do we know about intermittent fasting then? Well, we know intermittent fasting works really well to lean out, to maximize every morsel of food that you eat, particularly protein, and it improves many, many different health measures. Fasting also alleviates premature anabolic resistance, in my opinion, that is seen with that high calorie, high frequency eating. So the simple solution is to combine both diets by cycling several days of heavy eating with several days of intermittent fasting. One diet works to potentiate the other. You just need to experiment to see how many days of each is optimal for you. I would suggest 3 days of intermittent fasting rotated with 3 days of frequent eating to ensure that your calories are about double on the frequent feeding days versus what they are on your intermittent fasting days. And in time, you will be in tune with your body and you'll develop the optimal schedule to add large amounts of muscle with a very minimum of body fat. Understand that's a form of caloric zigzagging that I talk about frequently on this show, right? It has the added advantage, though, of upregulating both muscle building and fat loss, especially when you learn to match those diets and the timing of the eating to your training. I'll give you just real quick funny story. You know Johnny Gray, right?
Sure.
Yeah. He loves SHR. He asks a lot of questions. He's a friend of mine from college. 20 years ago, when Ori Hofmeckler did that, what was it, Playboy
Warrior
interview?
diet, the warrior diet.
Right, on the warrior diet. I was on that like within a very, very short period of time. And I've been doing it for 20 something years. And he calls me, and I've been telling him about this for 20 years. He calls me up the other day and he says, Rob, you're not going to believe this, because I got veins everywhere. This intermittent fasting thing leans you out really good. I said, no, you don't say. So look, try it. Even if it sounds outlandish to you, try it, because I can assure you, when I read Ori's article 20 years ago, it was the antithesis of everything that they had been telling us. Had I not tried it, though, I would have never discovered it is a fantastic tool, especially for body recomposition training.
So you just have whey protein throughout the day and then one big meal in the evening, because that's what the Ori Hofmeckler proposed in the warrior diet. It's just
sometimes not even whey protein.
So you just stay fast, so you have one meal at the end of the day, and that's it.
Right, and I hold 225 pounds pretty effortlessly, doing handstand push-ups and 500-pound trap bar deadlifts.
Well, I would suggest that, like medicine, everyone is different, and what they respond to is different. Some people, when they fast too frequently for too long, they start to literally their muscles just start to disappear. I believe that I have fasted myself into the current state that I am with my lower legs, and I've been talking to some fairly intelligent people within the scientific community. And even Adele Musa told me years ago that people can overdo fasting. But with that being said, I like your idea, and I'll tell you why I like it. Because you don't need 16 hours to experience the benefits of fasting. It's just 12 hours that you need. Right. So I get up in the morning and I do cardio. I have my first meal at 6. Yep. I can eat every 2 hours or 2.5 hours thereafter and end up having anywhere from 5 to 7 meals before 6 p.m. when I stop eating again.
Right.
So I can see it working. I think they can complement each other. But I will say this about the multiple meal plan. There are a lot of shredded people out there, and it's not all the drugs, because you can take all the drugs you want if you're not eating right, sleeping right, training right. You've said those words yourself.
Right.
There's a lot of shredded people out there eating 6, 7, 8 meals a day, and they're not putting on body fat. And here's where the magic lies in the multiple meal plan. If your macros are established, 50% protein, whatever, 40% carbs, 10% fats, or whatever it is that you're zeroed in on, and you need 2,500 or 3,000 calories today to continue to lose body fat, you will lose more weight having that 2,500 calories in 6 meals than you will in 2. And that's actually been shown by people like Dr. Jose Antonio and so on. So I don't think it's necessarily an absolute, you're going to get fat if you eat 6, 7 meals a day, any more than it is you're going to lose a lot of muscle if you only eat twice a day. I think that if you understand the value of eating the right amount of calories for the goal, whether it's lose weight, maintain weight, gain weight, they stimulate the muscle to grow, so the weight gain is muscle, and you have at least a 12-hour window where you're not eating, which could be from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. the next morning, so that you're getting all the benefits of the time-restricted feeding gives for aging and diseases, and wards off Alzheimer's disease, and does all these amazing things and keeps you from getting cancer. I think you can actually do the multiple meal a day in a fashion where you're still restricting the time, the feeding window.
Yeah, there's a right way and a wrong way. You can certainly overdo anything.
Right.
And so overdoing either of those two diets has consequences. That's simple.
Yeah, there's got to be a balance in there. There has to be. There's no doubt about it. All right, the next question comes from Stan Hansen. He says, longtime listener, first time asking a question. Why are athletes so much bigger today? Is drug testing in strength sports still that easy to beat, or is there something else at work?
It is not just pro athletes that are so much bigger today.
It's people.
It's everyone.
It's true.
So if you don't believe that, try this. go to, hopefully you get Classic Sports, right? ESPN Classic Sports. I was watching the 1986 World Series between the Red Sox and the Mets the other day. And you can take any game from the 80s, doesn't matter. Compare the players versus the players of today. It is, in most cases, it's night and day. Never mind the players, though. Take note of the fans in the seats, especially when they get up to go get a hot dog or use the bathroom or whatever. They are universally thinner, much thinner, and also smaller muscle-wise, the men. There's just no comparison. So, and this is another interesting story. When I worked in insurance, I worked with a guy who was the former either offensive or defensive, I can't remember, line coach of the Redskins' '83 Super Bowl team. So I was asking him how big the guys were, right? He told me they had one guy on that team who was 300 pounds. He was a center, and he wasn't even a starting center, right? He was second string. So the question becomes then, why are people and athletes so much bigger? It is certainly, the answer is no. It's not just the drugs. In fact, I don't think it's even the drugs play, as nearly as big a role as some people think. Now, are steroids and growth promoting drugs more prevalent today? Absolutely. Sidebar. Nice job, Vice President Biden and Congress.
Okay, I just want everybody to notice that I did not get political today on this show, but Rob did. So there's a guy on YouTube named Slick Willie who gave me heat for being political. So I'm glad that Rob did this now because he loves you. He loves you.
Well, quite honestly, if you look at Mr. Biden's history and the steroid issue, you'll see what I'm talking about.
I know.
You see, it's not necessarily a political. But now, there are a lot of other things that play into this. Are the drug tests easier to beat? I would imagine it differs by sport. I can't really say. Are there more and better equipped gyms? Absolutely. There's one on every corner now. And virtually every sport in college now has a strength coach. I think our football team was the only team that had a strength coach in college. Also, the foods that we eat have become much more calorically dense, but nutrient sparse, right? A lot of foods are simply empty calories, generating insulin gone wild, right? Which is what I said before about, fat loss diets. They all moderate and lower insulin. That the combined effect of those and other things make more fat people, a lot more. But underneath all that fat, in most males anyway, is more muscle than there otherwise would be, which should tell you something about the power of just overfeeding. I'm not talking about people that train with weights. Look at the calves of the next 300 or 400 pound person you see. They're all pretty darn big, which is a consequence, right? Obviously, of carrying all that weight around. How about legal supplements? Today, we have supplements that actually work. They're certainly more effective. I would venture to say creatine and whey protein have put some muscle on folks that otherwise wouldn't be there. Okay. But all of these things pale in comparison to the big one. And that factor is this: there's a much bigger gene pool out there, especially amongst people that train with weights. In the 1980s, strength training was somewhat still relegated to just bodybuilders, right? And some higher level athletes in organized sports like football. Women, you might have had one or two women in your gym, and that was it. Today, gyms are flooded with all different kinds of people from all different walks of life. There is a greater likelihood then that within that pool of people, someone with optimal genetics for building muscle, right? There's going to be more of those people. Here's the bottom line. People and athletes are undeniably bigger today. but most of them, people anyway, are just fatter. The people that are bigger muscular wise largely got that way for the combination of reasons that I gave, right? It's not just the drugs. There is a much bigger gene pool. And you know, you got to look at it this way. Yeah, there's more muscle out there today, but I can honestly say that I think that despite all of the advancements that I just cited, most people still don't recognize their genetic potential, which is another issue. And, you know, there are other things that go into it. But that's the history behind bigger people in the last, 40 years.
I want to give you another aspect of it too.
Yeah, sure.
So I did a show probably about 5 years ago with a guy who published a study that later became a book. And I just trying to find his name. If I had my laptop, I could find his name really fast. And he tracked antibiotic use and the introduction of antibiotic use in the United States. And he used it to overlay to current hunter-gatherer populations like the Nuiji and so on.
Right.
And he shows through scientific pathways and then uses that to overlay on a map that it's the introduction of antibiotics that has made humans larger altogether, both fatter, taller, more muscular, and everything.
That's really interesting. I never heard that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating. It's fascinating. It's not discussed, but you know when we did the show and he talked about how antibiotics change the gut microbiome, make it more efficient at extracting nutrition, which also shifts the body to not only more energy uptake but less energy utilization because it shifts microbes that are responsible for producing more energy. So you're getting more nutrition out of every meal, which kind of goes hand in hand with your nutrient dense idea, but you're not using the energy as much, which means it's being stored more. So there are several good studies that link antibiotic use to obesity in a multitude of countries by country. But then he came out and he said that when you look at civilizations that have never seen antibiotics, they're still 3 and 4 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
And they're eating McDonald's now. You know, like these populations are getting fast food is accessible to them. They're actually being introduced to a lot of westernized foods, but what they're not being introduced to is antibiotics. And then he looks at in the United States, which he didn't consider them a hunter-gatherer nation, but he said they're basically a nation untouched by modern medicine, and that is like the Amish and the Mennonites. And except on the women tend to use antibiotics more in those communities. They will go to a doctor and get an antibiotic.
Yep.
The men don't, and the women in those two groups of populations today have rising obesity problems. The men don't.
What does he say about people that don't use antibiotics?
Well, if your mother used antibiotics, tag you're it. That's what happens because the diversity of your mother's microbiome is passed on to you. And so, I mean, my mother had to deliver me C-section. She delivered my sister vaginally, and I'm sure that antibiotics had something to do with that.
Wow.
Because I was a very big baby. And here's another fact, just as an aside. You know, when they deliver a baby, they clamp the umbilical cord and clip it.
Yep.
If they leave the umbilical cord unclamped for another 3 minutes, that baby will be 1 pound heavier.
Wow, a pound
because
is
1 pound heavier. So if they clamped your baby's umbilical cord and cut it, and your baby was 7 pounds 16 ounces, if they would have left that umbilical cord open for 3 to 4 minutes, that baby would have been 8 pounds 16 ounces because the mother's body pushes blood into the baby once it's out of the womb.
Wow. Think about that, percentage wise, 1 pound for a baby.
But what a phenomenon. I mean, just think about that. Just when you clip I'm doing a lot of deep diving into the umbilical cord. I don't believe that it's this relic of birth that has no basis for us to understand it. I have a feeling that understanding the umbilical cord will give us, because you got to remember, we sprouted from our umbilical cord. Our entire body grew from our umbilical cord.
Right.
Then they clip it and they go, oh, it's nothing. It's no big deal. It's nothing. There's nothing to see here. Just keep going. Back in the day when you got a rabies vaccine, they gave it to you in your umbilical cord for a reason. Because things that go to the umbilical cord go right to the liver. They go to it's like a super highway to certain organs in your body.
Don't they save it now, or is that the placenta that they?
No, they save umbilical cord blood.
Okay.
For the stem cells, and they do
Right.
use placenta. Let's get this last question. We'll take our break for the Blueprint tip of the day. Look at all the crazy stuff you learn on this show.
I know.
Kerry Atkinson says, I read about modified ecdysterone being 3 times as anabolic as natural counterparts. Any truth to this rumor? And if so, where can I get it?
Right? That's always the other question. There is, in fact, information out there about a modified ecdysterone that is being pursued. So here's the 411 on what's going on. There is a French company called Biofitus that is studying whether ecdysterone is a cure for certain muscle diseases. And they've already chemically modified the ecdysterone molecule into something that they think is a bit more effective than its parent compound. Now, sidebar for all the ecdy doubters out there, companies like this don't invest millions of their dollars, time and resources pursuing compounds that don't do something. All right. Anyway, the company was founded in 2006 by French scientists that have been studying ecdy for years. And interestingly enough, they refer to regular ecdy at most of the scientific conferences their people go to as something called Bio 101, whereas their modified ecdy is referred to as Bio 103. So that's the backdrop. Several years ago, I began to see mention of these modified ecdysterones that supposedly exceeded the anabolic effects of the ecdy parent compound. One of them was something called posterone, not to be confused with panasterone, which you'll see plenty mention of in the literature. And posterone is a natural metabolite of ecdy. But this Bio 103 that this company synthesizes resembles posterone, but it does not occur in nature. And that, just note that for the near future, because it affects the second part of your question. In mouse models of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Bio 103 was shown to be unable to inhibit the breakdown of muscle, but it does inhibit the decrease in muscle strength. In fact, it was so effective for that purpose, the mice getting it became stronger than the mice that didn't have this muscular dystrophy. There was another interesting effect, though, that was buried deep in their patent, and you got to read the thing closely to find it. They observed that ecdy makes muscle tissue produce more blood vessels. And this would, in part, another part, help explain the muscle enhancing effects that we see with ecdy steroids in other studies done everywhere around the world. That fact, though, that it makes new blood vessels, that was not a surprise to me. And I'll tell you why. Because forever and a day, I have long said that during the first 3 days of ecdysterone usage, one of the things that I noticed was my VO2 max went way up. Like hiking and stuff like that, it was much, much easier. So let me read to you direct from the patent what they have to say about this. Quote, after 2 days of treatment with Bio 101, it appears that cells from a muscular dystrophy patient have basal and maximal mitochondrial breadths significantly increased over those from untreated cells. They summed up their findings with this. Bio 101, which again is just the stock ecdy molecule, not even modified, contributes to the improvement of the energy metabolism in muscle cells of patients with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. My opinion has long been and will continue to be it does so in people as well. Interestingly, Bio 103, which is their modified one, its ability to exceed that of Bio 101's making new
Blood vessels.
Blood vessels was a little bit better. The only problem is this: Bio 103, as I said before, is not naturally occurring. And so it's not going to be legal to market, at least in this country, as a supplement. So here are some of my comments on all that research. How much more effective this stuff is than its parent compound? Well, first you need to know what they consider the parent compound to be. And reading the patent application, it is very clear that they think that is 20-hydroxyectosterone. The problem is that 20H is no great shakes. And I've said this again forever and a day. It takes a hell of a lot of it to see anything. And indeed, the scientists state in their patent that doses of up to 1,000 milligrams a day of Bio 103, this is the stronger stuff, or more may be necessary for patients to experience these benefits. So look, here's the bottom line, I guess. This is one experiment Captain Ecdysterone is not going to be undertaking anytime soon. I have too many other projects going on. That, and I already feel like we have other Ecdy products that way outperform 20H. Maybe not for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, but certainly for building muscle and sports performance. I do hope though this new stuff helps people with Duchenne muscular dystrophy and related diseases. So
we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have the BluePrint tip of the day. And then later in the show, if you're a personal trainer, you're going to hear what I have to talk about. Hell, if you're not a personal trainer, but you have an elderly loved one that you're responsible for, a fall is the number one reason someone is put in a nursing home. I've said it a million times on the show. Men die before women, and women end up in the nursing home because after they get out of the chair a couple times and fall, the kids go, "Mom, you can't live by yourself." Right. Well, there's a new study that shows how to best improve your balance and your leg strength quickly, so that you can stay out of the nursing home. Stay tuned. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? The rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Unlock your potential with the best cognitive enhancement and anti-aging supplements on the market. PureNootropics.net goes the extra mile for the highest quality ingredients, third-party tested to make sure you only receive the best your money can buy. There's no better choice with their money-back guarantee and free shipping. Try their best-selling DHM. Dihydromyricetin prevents hangovers and helps deliver detox after a night of drinking. Get your DHM and other nootropics and longevity supplements from PureNootropics.net, the purest supplements around.
Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom-made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Select Savory Snacks Original Biltong is the healthier alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. Their sugar-free biltong is seasoned and then air-dried for up to 2 weeks, providing you with one of the most tender and flavorful meat snacks that you've ever had. They also use a fattier cut of beef, which adds to the tenderness and gives their biltong even better flavor. Select Savory Snacks Original Biltong is the perfect snack or travel companion for your busy life. Get a free bottle of Ranch-tastic seasoning with every order. Free shipping on orders of $99 or more. Get yours today at selectsavory.com/SHR. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 2 free 10-ounce New York strips when you purchase $50 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to PIEDMONTESE.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. The BluePrint tip of the day.
The tip of the day is the strongest shall survive. So if you know anything about nature and wild animals, you know it's pretty simple, right? At least in their world. Only the strong survive. The weak are singled out, hunted down, killed, and eaten. That's how it goes. As with everything else in nature, there's always a purpose to it. But it's not just eating though for these animals, as many people mistakenly assume. With strength comes status for a lot of these, right? A lot of these animals, status among your peers, and with that, power to select females to breed with, power to eat first, power to signal others to stay away. In our society today, though, right, that's generally not how it works, except in the cases that it does. Enter COVID-19. You never want to underestimate anyone or anything, right? But the stats on COVID-19 are telling. If you're weak, fat, sick, or otherwise compromised, you are more likely to die. Like a lot more likely. You often hear, for example, that it's mainly just old people. And while it's true that most who do die from it are older, what is really striking about those statistics is this: almost all of them had quote unquote something else wrong with them. And in the stats that I saw most recently, that something else was most frequently cited as diabetes. So, it seems that hanging out with the Keebler-Elves is a lot more serious than what people thought. And I understand some people, it's genetic. That's not who I'm talking about. Who I'm talking about are the people that ate themselves into this condition, okay? So it's no longer just, oops, I've got diabetes. No biggie, though. I'm just going to keep eating the way I'm eating and take these pills that my doctor gave me. Not that simple anymore. Really not that simple anymore. Next, let's talk about diabetes tag team partner and friend to the end, obesity. Okay. Incredibly, it's perceived to be one of the least serious medical conditions, at least among people that I talk to. And that's really ironic because from what I can see, right, nobody takes it seriously until their arteries are clogged, their heart function sucks, and they're a hyperinflamed mess with a whole bunch of other problems. Here's some stats for you. From 2000 through 2018, which was the most recent data I could find, the prevalence of obesity in the United States increased from 30 to 42%. And it was even worse amongst the severely obese. They were growing even faster than the regular obese. That is bumping up against a 1% increase per year. And, you start to do the math on that. And at that rate, the whole country is going to be fat and obese at some point, or darn close to it. But what do people do when their weight becomes an issue, or their doctor speaks to them about it, or somebody else does? People just give it lip service. And from there, they build decades worth of lifestyle habits that lead to obesity and reinforce obesity and severe obesity. Lifestyle habits that are so ingrained, they're almost impossible to break, right? All those years later. So it's no longer the fact that they're just fat and it's an unsightly type of problem. No, they have a compromised immune system, in part due to all that excess inflammation, which is setting them up for death, like soon death if you contract one of these viruses, right? It's no more like, hey, I'm gonna continue to be fat and I'll worry about it in 30 years. No, you could be dead in 30 days if you come down with this stuff. And so all of these facts point to one, I think, undeniable truth. Being fat or diabetic as a result of your obesity is no longer okay. I might die in 30 years. It's not that kind of a problem anymore. It is right here, right now. And it's COVID. Personally, I hope this isn't the case, but I think COVID is just the start. However, we have learned a couple of important things from COVID. One, these things can spread fast, mostly due to the air travel today, right? International air travel. And this stuff went from China to the United States real fast. Two, it's going to kill many while they try to come up, the powers that be, with a vaccine. Number three, the vaccine may or may not work. And even if it does work, it might stop working when the virus adapts and overcomes it. And then finally, you have to go out of your house eventually, right? You got to buy food, you got to buy gas, you have to go out at some point. So nobody is 100% safe, no matter how careful you are, which leaves us where? I'll tell you where it leaves us. Building a strong body and a strong immune system is your first and last line of defense. I personally heard of a case from a friend of mine, okay, whose buddy contracted COVID. I asked, okay, what are they doing for him? He said, well, they put him on a ventilator, or is it a ventilator or respirator?
It's a ventilator to keep them alive.
Okay, so he said they put him on a ventilator. I said, okay, great. What are they doing beyond that? Like, what are the doctors giving him? What are they saying? He says, nothing. Nothing. One word, nothing. In other words, you are now in a life or death situation with the immune system that you've built, or not, as the case may be, versus COVID-19. I want you to really let that sink in for a minute, because that is absolutely what we are dealing with in the right here and the right now. Right now, today, this very minute, it doesn't get much more serious than that. So here's the bottom line. Most people listening practice a superhuman lifestyle. And as a superhuman, you're likely doing everything you can, right, to build a strong immune system and be strong and protect yourself. And that's admirable, because changing just your little corner of the world starts to add up when we all do it. But I also want you to know this. There are people out there that need your help. They need the truth, and they're not always getting that from the powers that be. For that truth and for a deeper understanding, and here's the important part, practical steps they can take to protect themselves. For that, I would implore you to bring them here to SHR, to listen to people who really know what they're talking about, giving them information that will really make a difference. And in doing so, you might just be saving more than just that person. Think about that.
Rigo Vargas posted a question and we missed it. So we're going to answer it next Tuesday, Rigo. I'll put the question up now. What is the best way to decrease post-workout muscle soreness? I think he's thinking of DOMS, delayed onset. Supplement or food? Thanks. And we will answer that. That'll be the first question we answer next Tuesday. I'm sorry about that, Rigo. I just saw it now. And that's it.
Yeah.
Do you know there was a flu in 1967 that killed 130,000 people. And in 1918, the Spanish flu killed 675,000 Americans. And we didn't do either of the things we're doing today. The more people they test, the more they realize that a lot more people have COVID-19 and didn't get sick. They didn't get any symptoms. And asymptomatic people are not transmitting the disease. And so I'm sorry, whenever I say this, I said this yesterday to Elisa's stepdad. He said, Carl, COVID-19 killed 140,000 people in just 3 months. And I said, yeah, I understand that. We lose 60,000 every year to the seasonal flu. So this is, and in 67, we lost 130,000 people. So what's different today is the way they're handling it. That's it. And it's not making it. And let's be clear about something. If you pay attention, you really pay attention. They're not saying that, like, and Gavin Newsom is saying we're going to shut down California. He doesn't say to stop the spread. He says to slow the spread. I said this today to a buddy of mine. I said, you know what they're doing with COVID-19? You and I go out drinking. We got $100. And you say to me, hey, slow down. You're drinking too fast. We're gonna run out of money. Let's make it last the whole night. We're still going to spend the same $100. The same number of people are going to get sick in this country from COVID-19. The same number who get sick are going to die. You're just stretching it out over the course of the next 8 months. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. You know, the people are playing games, and unfortunately, they're politicizing the issue. But like I said in the tip of the day, you can't change the world. And I know, that's very frustrating at times. You can't even change, what the people around you are doing. What you can do is change your little corner of the world. And that's all anybody can reasonably be expected of you. Now, if you want to go the extra mile, and I recommend you do, for those people that are open to it, bring them here. Bring them here so that they can hear the truth.
That show that I did on glutathione, keeping the damage from the pneumonia port, they took that down off of YouTube.
God.
And it's like, it's glutathione. Doctors can prescribe glutathione. We're not saying it's going to cure you. It just keeps you from having your lungs ruined from the pneumonia side of COVID-19.
Same deal with vitamins.
I'm going to say something. I know somebody's going to get pissed off at me and say you're being political, but all I want to say is this. If you're unhappy the way things are going, make sure you vote. I think less than 50% of the population votes every year. I want to grab those 50% that don't vote and shake them. I want to shake them so hard their heads come off their necks. What the F are you doing? You, instead of complaining and instead of letting these idiots take office who are doing the stupid stuff they're doing today, get up and vote. I don't care if you vote, who you vote for, but vote. We need a big turnout this year. We need more people to vote this year than ever before. You know why? To send a signal to politicians that we're not standing for them anymore. Well, I want to see the tax returns of a politician who's been a politician for 30 years and is worth $140 million. I want to understand how a politician goes from no money to $140 million as a politician their entire life. There's something wrong with that. And if you're cool with that, you're messed up. I'll tell you that right now. That's it. I ended up getting political. Slick Willie, I'm sorry, brother. I tried, man. And look, I waited right to the minute right before the break. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about a study that shows a fast way to help people stay out of the nursing home
Cool.
when we come back. Rob, do you want to sit through this? Or you want me to let you go?
No, I'll hang out.
Okay, so sit tight. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Unlock your potential with the best cognitive enhancement and anti-aging supplements on the market. PureNootropics.net goes the extra mile for the highest quality ingredients, third-party tested to make sure you only receive the best your money can buy. There's no better choice with their money-back guarantee and free shipping. Try their best-selling DHM. Dihydromyricetin prevents hangovers and helps deliver detox after a night of drinking. Get your DHM and other nootropics and longevity supplements from PureNootropics.net, the purest supplements around.
Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Planet Earth CBD offers a fast-acting transdermal patch that targets your aches and pains for the relief you need. Not only is the patch uniquely patented, but it is widely believed to provide larger quantities of available cannabinoids to the source of pain than other brands' subpar products. Effective for 24 to 48 hours. Experience the benefits of Planet Earth's high-quality transdermal patch. Manufactured by Next Generation Technology in an FDA-registered facility. This pressure-sensitive adhesive delivers rich hemp extract directly through the skin. Be it a neck ache or a headache, you can count on CBD to take off the edge. Go to planetearthcbd.com today to learn more.
Are you still on the fence about Body Protection Complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus Lifting Company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. You know, I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, you know, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do those with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Welcome back. 1 out of 4 adults each year falls, and it's a big issue when they fall. You know, they break hips. I mean, it could end lives, quite frankly. Falling can end lives at that age. It does often. It totals out to 30 million adults each year. And of those, about 1% of them die. 30,000 of them die each year, unnecessarily, just from a fall. I've said on this show for years that women outlive men by 7 years, but then women end up in an institution. And that's usually because mom gets out of the chair, she falls. The first time the kids go, "Oh, Mom, what are we going to do?" The second time they're like, "Mom, she's laying on the floor. She can't get up." A lot of these times, a lot of women, when they fall, they can't get up. They're stuck there. And so what do? You get a medical pendant? No, that really doesn't work so good. It's a temporary patch. Eventually, it's just moving towards being institutionalized. And if you ask older people, no one wants to be institutionalized. It's horrible.
No.
At the end of your life. You want to die in your own bed. So, interestingly enough, of the statistics, 10% of the falls are treated each year. 3 million older adults are treated for fall injury, but there's only 10% of them. There's a large number of falls that we don't even know about because they're kept quiet. They're kept in the family, so to speak. So falls remain the number one reason for nursing home enrollments in older adults. Think about that. It's not Alzheimer's disease. It's not being able to ambulate any longer. It's not having the lower body strength to get out of a chair stably, to walk with stability, and to do all those things. So muscle weakness and gait problems are the most common causes of falls among elderly nursing home residents. They account for 24% of all the falls in the facilities. Now, think about this. You fell, and that's how you got put into the nursing home.
Right.
Now you're falling in the nursing home. So you're double and tripling your risk of dying from a fall, even though your kids have done the right thing and put you into a nursing home.
Right.
Right? Okay. 70% of nursing home residents are women, but this should not fall on deaf ears for men either, because lower body strength is critical for walking and for doing all the things that you want to do to live your life out. So the bench step up, we've all seen it in gyms, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but there's a big problem with the bench step up, right? The people that are doing them are usually younger people.
Yep.
And there's no real progressive overload in bench step ups. Right? They set the bench and, so you do something, you go over, you do 10 step ups with each leg, you go on, you move on. What this group did was they took the bench step up with incremental height settings. And they did it in such a way that they started out with women, two groups of women, control and that did nothing through the 12 weeks, and another group, and I'll get some numbers up here for you. Hold on.
Remember we talked about it last week? I was talking about doing them.
The bench step-ups.
Yeah.
But incrementally?
More so with dumbbells. It sounds like here they're using...
Yeah, now this is just body weight. So
that's probably more appropriate for the age group too. But it sounds like they're increasing their range of motion as a way of increasing the benefits of the exercise.
Well, what they found out was by adding a progressive approach to it, where you kept making the bench a little higher, higher. And some of these women probably would start out with something the thickness of a yoga mat. You know what I mean? It's just because they're unstable to begin with. But as they did this, what they found out was, aside from reducing falling incidents, and I think I got some of these mixed up. Here I am. So the study looked at a 12-week step-up program using incremental step heights on muscle volume, muscle strength, power, functionality, ability, and balance performance in older women. The control group did nothing. The active group that was actually tested, there were 45 women. They were already in an institution. They were around the ages of 69, randomly assigned to either the group or the non-training controls. Training intensity was primarily determined by step height, as you just pointed out, while training volume remained the same. So maybe they did, 10 sets with 10 sets of 10 reps with each foot. The only thing that changed from workout to workout was the height of the step. Now, so we're talking about a minimum a progressive overload approach. This is not, I mean, you can get fancy once they get to a certain point and say, okay, now we're going to put a couple dumbbells in your hand.
Yeah. Right.
They looked at these women a variety of different ways. They measured peak power. They measured muscle volume and thigh size. They looked at knee extensor isometric peak torque, the rate of velocity. They even looked at their core muscles, believe it or not, to see how they were interacting with the ability to keep the body upright as these women stepped up on these platforms. And what they found out was that the women who were enrolled in the 14 or the 12-week program progressed so dramatically further. I got these all mixed up, and I'm sorry. They progressed so much further than the group that did nothing at all. You know what I'm doing? I'm just going to take these things down because the point isn't lost without having the graphics. By just getting these women to do this gentle, non-heroic, progressive step up where they just increase the thickness of the step with each workout, gave these women the ability to get out of a chair better, to stand and walk with greater control on their balance. And think about this. That was in 12 weeks. If you asked an elderly woman, which would you rather do? Enroll in this class at my gym for 12 weeks so that you don't fall and you don't end up in a nursing home, or just wait to fall and end up in a nursing home? What do you think they're going to choose?
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're going to enroll.
I mean, and you know, and so, and I want personal trainers to hear this, because nobody can do this but a personal trainer. A doctor can't do this. Chiropractor can't do this. Only personal trainers can save women from being put in nursing homes. That's where it has to start. Personal trainers need to go to. So I did a show once where I told personal trainers, start approaching your doctors, approach them as professionals, show them that you're certified, create a plan. Say, here's what I'm going to introduce people to. Send me some of your patients to work with. This is an ideal thing. You could put this together on one sheet. You can call it the avoid the nursing home routine.
Right.
Because it's true. Take all the data I just put together. You know, number one reason for being put in a nursing home is a fall. You know, they fall after they're in the nursing home. Go to the nursing homes and say, hey, we know that 24% of your patients fall. Let us help you. Let us come and do this. And then you bring your benches with you, with all the inserts to progress up. Maybe the highest one is only going to be 8 or 9 inches. That's all. We're not doing super step ups here with these women. We just want them to step up a step, like a stair step. Maybe the top could be the normal height of a stair step, since they're going to be doing stairs for the rest of their lives, right?
Yeah.
And get in there for 12 weeks and save these people a lot of grief. You'll be doing everybody a great service, and you'll get paid good money for it. Go to the doctors and say, hey, I have a program. It's backed by science. Here's the study. You have any patients that are at risk of falling and losing their ability to ambulate? Let me work with them, because only a personal trainer can do this. Nobody else is trained to do this stuff.
That is a great idea. I can't say that I'm surprised. I would also expect, as the intensity increases, that their heart and lungs are going to benefit tremendously, because that's, you know, as I said last week, you're doing with step ups, especially if you're using any real amount of weight. It's not just your muscles, it's your heart and lungs. And boy, will you be a believer after you do your first.
Well, and they looked at the core. They looked at the upper body. They looked at the posture. They looked at the change in the core. They looked at the muscles in the core, and everything got stronger from this, even though they weren't holding weights.
Yeah, and you know what? I have a unique perspective on this, because I worked for many years in insurance in long-term care, and so I was in and out of nursing homes. I've also had that experience with my grandparents, God bless their soul. And watched what they went through in nursing homes. And Jen just picked up a second job at a nursing home for the poor, something to that effect. What I'll tell you though is this: as valid as that is, and God knows the price is right? It's free.
Rob, can you hear me? Rob, the last thing we heard was as valid as, and then you dropped out.
As valid as that is, sadly, there is a reluctance amongst the nursing home community in general and doctors to ask elderly patients to do any sort of physical exertion, no matter how small that may be. And I'll tell you, even if it is a small thing, it can blossom into a huge thing. One quick example: I had a friend, Russ. His mother is in her late 80s. She could barely get out of a chair once. So guess what they did? They did chair squats for like a year, and twice, and 3 times. And the weeks and the months roll by. And you know what? That woman set a goal of getting out of that chair 100 times. And by God, she did it. And Russ told me when she said, 100 times, she thought that was so impossible. It would be like,
Yeah, a long time coming. Right.
If at all. And he said the look on her face the day that she did it was the most, he said that was one of the most special moments of my life. And I know, and he also said this, he said, I know when she passes, that's one of the memories that I'm going to hang on to, because he helped her accomplish
it. Was
that.
a god, and it was, it's monumentous. And the other thing is, I get it. You're right. So a doctor will look at this, excuse me, he'll look at this like, yeah, I could help 50 of my patients, but just one of them will sue me. I'm not going to do it. I know. And but still, the link to the study will be in the show notes today.
Awesome.
Print that out. If you're a personal trainer, put together a 1-sheet flyer, how to avoid the nursing home, do the bullets. The number one reason people are enrolled in a nursing home is because they fall. 24% of nursing home residents fall as well. We have a way to eliminate the fall. It's very simple, and it's backed by science. We would like to work with some of your patients and see if they call you. I mean, that's all you need. You just need one doctor to start funneling you patients. And you can, and these are step ups. You, with no wait, you can go to their house with this stuff in the trunk of your car.
Yeah. That's a very good point. We'll bring the gym to you.
Yeah, we'll bring the gym to you. And let's be honest. What are we talking about here? Maybe a couple 3 sets the first week of 10 step ups with each foot, and you're done. So you're in and out of there in 20 minutes. They'll probably want to keep you around and talk because they're lonely.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yes, absolutely.
I think that now that we have a study that shows this, it's more evidence that personal trainers need to be working with doctors to help patients age better. That's bottom. Awesome. That's all I care about. That's what I'm looking for.
That is awesome.
So that's it for today. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We have a really good show tomorrow, I think. Actually, we have a show tomorrow. Believe it or not. Tomorrow we have a show. Where is this here? Oh man, where the hell is it? It's I think we're doing a show tomorrow about intermittent fasting and building muscle.
Oh, all right.
I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's tomorrow. I think Elisa Book, the scientist, who's written a couple really good papers. So we'll continue on that discussion tomorrow. Thanks for listening today. Please share the show. Help the audience grow. I know I have an annoying voice, but the information is good. Elisa said to me, maybe you now that you're kicking caffeine again, you'll calm down more because you'll have a more soothing voice, and maybe you'll actually have people who will listen more. So,
they still need to wade through our ugly mugs though to get to
I know, right? Look at this. These two faces side by side is pretty hard.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, great. Yeah, the great topic, Kiyoshi early, and then we have this one here. Great show. Glad I caught the second half. I need to watch the replay. Yes, please do. Yeah. And please share the show. Share the video on Facebook with your friends. Start a watch party. Help us reach more people, because really, ultimately, the goal of this show is to change people's lives, to empower them with both critical thinking and deductive reasoning skills and the right information so they can make good choices. That's all I want to do. That's it. Yeah. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Don't forget to go to CoachRobRegish.com and show them some love. We'll see you tomorrow.